So I'm running.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Today we have Jost Kobusch with us. He's a climber. Also happens to be one of the youngest climbers to have climbed Annapurna Massif Himalayas, which also happens to be one of the most difficult mountains to climb. Hello, Jost.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hey. I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Yeah. So first question, I'm very curious. When did you start climbing and why?
Oh,
What was the
so
main reason?
I think um, the reason I started climbing was because I was afraid of heights.
Okay.
So I always enjoyed doing things I was afraid of. And when I was 12, there was this group in school, like a climbing group. And I could also go to like a volleyball group or art group or whatever, but I was really excited by the fact that I was afraid of climbing. So
Yeah.
I felt there was a lot of potential to grow as a person, and I was super excited about it, and started in my school with in the sixth grade.
Oh, wow. So you learn to face your fear in the school itself.
Exactly. Yeah. I also in the school we had a swimming class,
Okay.
and there's this 3 meters jump into the pool. If you want to have this swimming medal thing, you need to do the jump. I never got it because I couldn't do the jump.
But then that was also your fear, right? You should have gone for it.
I mean, it was just super scary for me to lose control. I mean, you're jumping and then during you fall, you can't do anything about it. And climbing really helped me to gain control over these moments. And the more I climbed, the more I enjoyed being high up. And still today, I'm sometimes afraid.
Okay. And could you tell us what you're doing exactly right now? I mean, professionally.
How do you mean?
So so you basically go and climb every mountain you see, or how is it like?
So I'm a professional athlete, which means my sport is my job.
Yeah.
Like, for example, right after this podcast, there is a climbing partner waiting for me, and we'll go climbing. I live in Chamonix. If I look out of that window there, I see Mont Blanc. I'm just, uh, I'm in the mountains, and I train a lot. And then another part of my job, of course, is also um, like I have tours where I do speakings or book readings. I'm sitting sometimes more often than you think in front of a computer to organize stuff like planning expeditions or talking to sponsors or creating some content, or like having podcasts. That's actually a lot of what I do.
That sounds really interesting, actually. So, what's your fitness regime like and diet like? Because to climb such difficult mountains, it would require a lot of hard work.
So I'm vegan, which
Okay.
means I'm totally plant-based. I don't eat any animal products. So with the vegan diet as an athlete, you need to be careful because you need to well balance it. Vegan foods do not contain the essential amino acids in a very equal amount like animal products do. For example, if you
Yeah.
eat eggs, you have the essential amino acids in a very balanced level. And
Yeah.
plants contain all of those amino acids, but
Yeah.
some parts, how do I say, some plants, they have, let's say, a really high amount of a specific amino acid, like a protein, and a lower amount of another one. And in the end, your body needs them all like in an equal amount to process. So it's a bit more planning with my diet there, but it works well. And also on my last expedition, I had like a vegan cooking team in camp. Um,
Okay.
and then training wise, I train every day. There's a specific routine to it.
Mm.
So if you want to look at a typical day, like for example, today, I got up in the morning. First thing I do is I do my morning routine, which is I do some core and strength exercise to like start the day, and I do a little bit of fast stretching. It's more dynamic stretching, and it's really short, just to mobilize in the morning. And then I would have a cold shower.
Okay.
I always shower cold if it's in the morning or after a training. Sometimes I shower warm, but that's like more late evening, because when you shower cold, you're like really awake, and I don't want to give that shock to my body before sleeping.
Yeah.
So, and then I do have endurance units in training.
Hmm.
Today is not an endurance day, so it's going to be climbing, but definitely there's some hiking involved to get to the climb.
Yeah.
Just behind my house, we'll go up like 400 meters in altitude, and there's a little crack. But then yesterday, for example, I was on an endurance unit where I was cycling. So
Okay.
lots of uphill cycling, long, in a specific pulse area. We call it the level 1 endurance. So that is 55 to 75% of your maximum heart rate. It's a lower heart rate, but you can sustain that workout for a longer time. And so I switched between a level 1 endurance workout and a more intense workout of climbing. So, like, for example, if Monday is endurance, then Tuesday it's more strength, and then Wednesday it's more endurance, and then Friday it's more strength, and then I have one rest day per week. That's like the basic idea of my training.
Alternate, yeah. Oh, and so like, what's like your thought when you're climbing? What thought process do you have when you're climbing and and you know it's gonna be very difficult?
You mean in a sports climbing, like rock climbing, or in the Himalayas?
In the Himalayas. And like, how is it different? What thought process you have in Himalayas as well as when you're rock climbing?
Okay, so if I'm rock climbing, for example, this afternoon, the route might be 30 meters long. So it's a very small route. Of course, it can be a few hundred meters long, but still, compared to a project in the Himalayas, it's a quite small project. So I'm not thinking actually about it until I'm there, standing in front of the route and seeing the moves, so seeing how well protected it is. And then if it's really hard, I'm how do I say? Then it's more about balancing like mentally certain aspects, but there's no real danger involved. There's no like dying involved in that. So I work a lot with like mantras. So when I'm in that sports climbing route, I'm how do I say? I'm kind of talking to myself a little bit in the route and telling like how do I say? I have specific sentences like let's say I'm there and I'm about to take a very deep fall. Then deep down in myself, I know nothing can happen, but I'm still afraid of that very deep fall. So I'm telling myself how it sounds very cheesy, but it's like only if you fall, you can grow wings, like kind of. And it's just, I'm just telling me this. I'm just telling myself it's very normal to fall. It's very normal, like to face that fear if you want to become a better athlete. So that's a very big process of like a difficult route, a difficult, I would say, micro adventure. And of course, an expedition is a completely different thing. It sometimes lasts for half a year, and the thought process starts before I'm on the expedition. I'm thinking about the project I'm planning, and then with an expedition, if you fall, you die. So that's nothing you want to do. So it's not like, okay, only if you fall you can grow wings. No, it's a different mindset. It's more like, look, there's no option to fall. And actually, it's funny, if I'm on a big expedition in Himalayas, I'm not afraid of falling because falling is no option. I don't even consider it an option. And I'm like free soloing by myself, but I feel very safe because the terrain is easy. And if I think that I might fall, then there's already something wrong and I shouldn't have started a specific section.
Yeah. But I mean, we all have our vulnerable moments, right? And plus, you travel solo. So aren't you like afraid sometimes? And like, and why did you also like? Why did you decide to climb solo?
I'm sometimes afraid, yes. I think it's more before a big project like that. I'm like afraid that maybe it doesn't work, maybe it's not the right thing, and so on. But once I'm starting the project, once I'm there, this fear really goes deep under the surface. It's deep inside of me. And the fear is actually something really good. It's an energy source. If I wasn't afraid, I wouldn't be able to perform the way I do. I wouldn't be able to climb 32 hours nonstop and still have like a very precise placement of my ice axes and crampons. Um, the fear helps me. The fear is something really good deep inside of me that I can use. And
Okay.
your second question, how I got into solo climbing? Um, well, which part of India are you from?
I'm from West.
And how far are the mountains away from your place?
I mean, it's quite far.
Quite
Himalayan is
far.
quite far.
So
Yeah.
let's say you wanted to climb something in the mountains. Do you know already somebody you would do it with?
I don't really know someone close, but I know like people who do these expeditions camps and they invite people. I don't know anyone personally.
Okay. Look, for me, it was similar when I grew up with climbing. I was living far away from the mountains. Yes, you hear of those people who sometimes do stuff, but it was just really difficult for me to find the good and right partner. So it's like people need to have the same budget than you do. They need to climb the same thing that you want to climb, otherwise it doesn't make sense. And in the end, you also need to have a good connection to those people. And it was really hard for me to find it because I was so far away from the mountains. So I asked other people to join me, but they wouldn't join. And so I went by myself, and I got really comfortable with going by myself. And I learned that there are also a lot of benefits in going solo.
Yeah. So like if you find a compatible partner right now, so you wouldn't mind taking him or her with you, right?
So I'm not only solo climbing. Like I said, like this afternoon, a friend of mine will drop by and we'll go climbing together. And I do climb a lot with other people. It's
Okay.
just that in my big projects, I still like I do them solo um, because I believe, first of all, it's harder. Second of all, it's more meditative. And third, I have more control. I have the full control at any moment, and I can look inside my brain. I can't look inside the brain of other people. I don't know what's going on there. And so for me, it's also a lower amount of risk because I can control every single part that I can control. And then, of course, there's still objective danger. And um, yeah, that's something you also need to deal with if you have a partner there.
Yeah. And is that one of the reasons why you don't even carry oxygen apparatus?
Um, the reason I don't take supplemental oxygen is that I think you should adjust your abilities to the environment, but not your environment to your abilities. For me, taking oxygen is cheating. It's like doping. Imagine whatever in India you play lots of cricket.
Yeah.
Imagine you have a cricket player with an oxygen tank. You know, I mean, nobody's doing that because it would be an unfair advantage to play cricket with extra oxygen. And so, why should you do it in the mountains?
No, but the environment in the mountains is different, right? You're going to like the pressure there is different. Right? While you're playing cricket, the pressure is still the same because you're on ground, but the altitude increases. So like I don't see how these two examples overlap.
Okay, so imagine I give this one cricket player extra oxygen, he will then have more energy because he can perform better. He will receive pure oxygen.
Yeah.
And it's the same pressure than the other players are playing in altitude wise, but he would clearly have an advantage. And so it's proven that you can play cricket without oxygen, just like it's proven that you can climb any 8,000er without oxygen. So, I mean, I don't see a difference, to be honest.
That's great, actually. So when you're doing rock climbing, okay, so like I don't know much about climbing. So like, so you put the rope, you firstly put the rope at the top, right, where you wanna reach, right? If I'm not wrong.
No. Look, if you, for example, you want to climb Mount Everest, the rope will not be fixed at the top. Like nobody will put the rope at the top of Mount Everest and you're just climbing behind the rope. Somebody needs to get the rope there. Yeah. So when you climb, you have a harness on and you are attached to the rope. And then you have somebody else who also has a harness on and is also attached to a rope, but with a device where he can give you some rope out. So as you're climbing up, you are then clipping the rope into carabiners that you place on the way, for example, with ice screws, like in ice, or maybe you find some cracks in the rock where you put gear in that's like jammed in there with the carabiner. And so if you fall, the device of that other person will block the rope from going further out. And so let's say you're 3 meters above an ice screw and you fall. Then you fall the 3 meters to the ice screw, but then you still have 3 meters of slack in the rope, so you fall 6 meters. Yeah. Then the rope is a little bit elastic, so you fall a meter more. And there is a little bit of slack in the rope itself, so you would probably fall something like 8 meters.
Okay. Okay. So I think you recorded also the avalanche in Himalayas, if I'm not wrong, in 2015.
I was in the base camp in 2015. Yes.
Yeah. What was it like? Also, I want to see the video.
I mean, you saw the video. It was like, first of all, you're home. I live in that base camp for a month, and home you feel safe, and then suddenly the table starts shaking, and yeah, people say earthquake, and I still remember a Japanese friend of mine. He said earthquake, and I was like, okay, you're from Japan. You probably know what it feels like to experience an earthquake. I've never been in an earthquake before. And to be honest, I was super excited. I was like, yeah, an earthquake, ooh, great, you know?
Actually, like, same. In 2015, I also experienced that earthquake for the first time in my life. I was in New Delhi that time.
How did it feel for you?
I was excited for some reason. I know it's a bad thing, but I was like, oh my God, this is my first earthquake.
Yeah, for me, it was the same. Just that probably my earthquake was shaking a little bit harder, but I was really excited. I was like, cool, I've never experienced an earthquake. Great. And the ground was shaking like you're on a small boat in the waves. And I was really happy, excited. And I heard this noise coming from Everest. So it was sounding a little bit like being inside of a car engine, like a big truck engine everywhere. And so I was looking for some little avalanches coming down Mount Everest. And then suddenly these people in front of me, they run. And I'm wondering, what are they running from? You know, I turn around, there's this gigantic avalanche just facing me, like coming towards me. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I was asking myself, does it even make a difference if I run now? And so I was just standing there looking at this thing moving with some strangely unrealistic speed. I couldn't tell if it was moving really fast or really slow. It was just huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, then my brain sent simple signals. It was just like run, jump behind something, run, jump behind something.
So were you prepared for death then? Like, were you like, okay, fine, if if I'm over, I'll be happy, I'll be content. Was it like that, or you actually wanted to get out of it?
I was sure I would die. It was just so big, and it was okay. I felt like I've done everything right. I've lived the life of my dreams, nothing to regret. So I was in a good spot, and because I was okay with it, I was calm, and I could actually open my jacket and protect two of my friends under my jacket. So we were three people under this jacket, just increasing chance of survival.
Oh, that's actually nice. So, like, how do you get that? How do you develop that mental strength and stability? Because you need it a lot. So how do you do that?
Uh, it's very simple. It's just it's just training. It's just work hard and build skill. Like, so I did a lot of mistakes in the past. So I've been in a lot of very bad situations. So it was similar. I was just like, oh, it's just another really bad situation. I wouldn't say I have talent or I'm special or anything. No, I'm just somebody who has training.
Okay, so it's basically you working like hard every day, like no luck, but just hard work.
I mean, I do work hard every day, but then also sometimes it's important to step down and relax, because if you only work hard, um, can be a tremendous waste of time. You
Yeah,
need to work hard and build skill. If you just work hard, um, but you do not build skill, you're not progressing. And sometimes in order to build skill, it's good to have a rest. Because
yeah,
if it's too much, you are not able to build skill.
that's true. And what do you think like has been the biggest motivation in your life to do this? The except fear.
Fear is not a fear is not a core motivation to initiate things, but fear in a way is a motivation to stay on it and to keep doing it. I think that my personal why, the reason why I do all of this,
Yeah,
is my curiosity. I'm just curious about life, about the world, about myself, and I just like to learn. So,
yeah,
for example, I'm not only mountaineering, I do a lot of stuff. It's just the most of my time I spent mountaineering, but then I'm really interested in like horse riding or sailing or diving, or I do lots of like mountain biking, running. I like shooting. I like a lot of different things. It's just um, I really enjoy this discovering process. And with mountaineering, with alpinism, I feel like there is so much to discover, and to, for example, climb a peak that has never ever been climbed is
yeah,
something really exciting. You're like standing at a place you didn't know how it would even look like. You don't know how the route looks like, and that's just great. So when I'm at Everest, for example, in the wintertime, it's really hard and I'm like exhausted. I'm just thinking about, hey, how will the route look like up there, and what will it be like to be there? And then I'm like, yeah, I really want to know, and I'm like super psyched, and I have so much energy.
yeah. So, were you able to climb Mount Everest in your base camp?
So I was on Everest this winter on a winter expedition, and I was able to reach a very good height on the mountain, but it was really a training expedition. Everest has been climbed only 16 times during winter time, so it's still a lot of adventure, and it's really true wilderness. So the route I chose is called the West Ridge, and I was really by myself there, which was a really deep experience. And so the goal, of course, is to complete the route, but my idea is to go there and to learn how to climb this route by actually climbing that route in winter time. So I will come back a couple of times.
Oh, that's great. So, but there are a few people who say that Kilimanjaro is harder to climb. Do you agree with that?
Kilimanjaro is harder to climb than what?
Mount Everest. Yeah, I read it.
Where did you read that?
I like because the percentage of people who climb, like the success rate of people who've climbed Kilimanjaro is way less than people who've climbed Mount Everest.
You need to send me the article, but I do agree the success rate of Kilimanjaro is way less because people are not prepared and people go up too fast.
Okay.
Most commercial providers do not give you enough time to adjust to the altitude. And since you're a newbie, it's difficult to judge. And so most people get altitude sick because they go up too fast. But by no means, Kilimanjaro is so much more easy than Mount Everest. But I might use that as a joke. Next time, if I climb Kilimanjaro, I say, look, Kilimanjaro is so much tougher than Everest. Look, the summit percentage rate is so much lower. And I'll probably make a fun article. Thanks for the idea. I think it's really funny.
You have to remember me, okay, when you climb Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, come join me.
I would love to, but I've never done it. I want to try out, but like I don't know from where, like how I'm gonna just get into it.
Yeah, I mean, you got so many beautiful and cheaper mountains in India. Maybe just go to the north, do some trekking with
Yeah.
friends. That will be the best experience you can get.
Yeah, I'm planning actually. But then this Corona happened, so. So, what has been your most memorable climbing trip ever till now?
In 2017, I
Overall.
climbed,
Yeah.
yeah, overall, in
Yeah.
2017, I climbed a mountain called Nangpai Gosum 2, which
Okay.
was one of the highest unclimbed mountains in the world until then. And what was really memorable for me was that over the years, I had a lot of issues finding my style. You know, I always wanted to bring a solo climb to big mountains. But then in 2015, I tried Lhotse, which is the fourth highest mountain in the world, and I tried to climb it solo. But I have to climb a part of the route that is like the route climbing up on Everest. The first 70% are identical. So there are
Okay.
lots of ladders, lots of people, lots of ropes, and I realized this is not solo climbing. And so I went to Annapurna 1. Annapurna 1
Okay.
is the
Yeah.
like least climbed 8,000-meter peak in the world. And so I thought I could do a solo there, but then the same day I summited, 20 other people summited, and there were other people around, and it was maybe unsupported, but it wasn't really a solo. And so I was really looking to have a pure approach to like wilderness and not having these fixed lines and everything and these commercial expeditions.
Yeah.
So by like the year after Annapurna, I found this mountain unclimbed, really remote. And by climbing that, I realized that this is exactly what I want to do. And I was just by myself, alone on the mountain, trying to find a route, trying to find a line up there. And the mountain was really, in a way, it was an empty canvas, and I was the artist painting the line. And that was a really cool experience. And I realized this is how I want to do it. And then I was thinking, okay, how do I bring this to an 8,000er? And that's how the Everest Winter Project was born.
Wow. So, like, could you tell us more about the Everest Winter Project?
So, Everest has never been climbed without oxygen during wintertime,
Yeah.
and it has never been solo climbed during wintertime. So the project is to climb it without support, very minimalistic, and of course without oxygen in the wintertime.
Okay. So, and have your parents ever feared because you do this like near-death experiences you have while climbing? So, what does your parents have to say about that?
About what? Sorry, I
Uh,
couldn't.
because this professional that like climbing that you do, so it's like very scary, right? So I mean, are they scared? They support you? What is it like?
My family or relationships or
Yeah, your family and relationship, everything.
okay.
What is it like?
Okay. I'm lucky that I don't have an Indian family because they would probably not allow me to do all that stuff. You know, that would be more like you can't do this. So um, my family in the beginning wasn't so supportive because they didn't really understand what it meant for me. At least that was always my perception. Maybe they understood more than I want to accept that they understand, but I always felt a bit more like there would be, how do I say, they were asking more like, really, like, why do you need to climb? Like, why can't you just be normal? So, but after a while, I mean, now it's my profession. It's kind of my living. They really accepted it, and I think that they are proud. And
Yeah.
so my father talks a lot about me and about my projects, and also lots of people in my village know about me, and so they talk to my father about it, and there is a huge interaction, and I feel a lot of support. Just also the last years, I received a lot of support. In many ways, I believe that the Avalanche 2015 really gave my parents the opportunity to get in contact with mountaineering and to realize what I'm doing there, and so to be more involved. So I'm very happy and lucky that I have this support.
Yeah, they must be really proud.
Sorry, what?
They must be really proud.
Yeah, they're really proud, and my little sisters, uh, how do I say? I think they're really proud.
Yeah. And so apart from the 2015 avalanche, like what other near death like experiences you've had? Like the most important, and like you were on the verge of like dying, like you knew, okay, okay, I won't survive after this.
Okay, as I told you, I've done a lot of mistakes when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I collected plenty of those experiences. Um, my mindset changed. The earlier approach, I call it learn or die, approach. Very steep learning curve, but
Okay.
also a tremendous amount of risk. That only changed with climbing Annapurna. But before that, I had a lot of close calls. So um, how about this? You tell me a specific topic and I will tell you a close call connected to that topic.
What topic? As in, give me an example.
Yeah, like for example, avalanche or falling down something, or just think about a potential scenario and then I'll tell you a story about a scenario.
So like there was a lot of. I mean, no, wait. You were about to fall off the mountain.
Okay, good. 2014, I was climbing Amadabla. I was soloing the mountain. It was my first mountain in Himalayas, and I didn't use any protection or anything. Considering my level of experience, typical learn or die approach, like I wasn't ready for that project. But by doing this, I was learning so much. But then, I reached the summit very late, much later than was good. And I was climbing down backwards because there were no ropes, nothing. I was the only person to reach the summit in the beginning of the year. The first, there was nothing fixed. And so as I was climbing down backwards in the night, after like 24 hours nonstop climbing, I started falling asleep like for a few seconds.
Yeah.
So I was sitting down somewhere, but you know, um, I would wake up like 30 seconds later and say, I can't sleep here because I will get frostbite and so on. So I knew I had to descend faster. And I started to use some of the old ropes that were attached there. Of course, a very bad mistake. You should never do that. But it was just so technical that I was like, look, I will. how do I say, I was short in the descent. And as I started rappelling, one of those lines ripped and I was falling. And I could see it was dark. My headlamp was like having this light bulb towards the front, and lots of granite would pass. It felt a bit like I'm just staying in the same position, but all the granite would just run up, you know.
Yeah.
And at that moment, it was really, there was no time to think I would die or something. It was just like so unreal. And in a way, I switched to like a third person perspective, and it felt more like I'm floating really in outer space and my head is underwater. And I was like, it was really strange. And I was looking to my feet and my crampons, and the crampons, they touched the granite like this, and it sprayed sparks. And I was thinking, oh shit, I've never seen something like this. That's like how like I was like from my mind really out. And then bam, next second I stopped. And I call this a safe line. So I'm rappelling on one rope, but the second best rope, I put in a carabiner, just a carabiner to run with me. And at the end of that rope, there was a big knot. So the carabiner got stuck and I'm hanging there. And it was a dynamic rope. And so I'm climbing a little bit up, unclipping the carabiner and thinking really calm, because I don't know, my brain just switched on autopilot to like whatever, to do whatever to maximize my survival. I was just thinking, okay, look, you continue, be more careful with the next lines. You'll be back in your tent in 2 hours.
And it happened.
And it happened. I was back in my tent.
But has it ever happened with you that it wasn't the external factors, but it was just you? You wanted to give up because you were so exhausted. And you were like, okay, I'm just done. I don't want to do this anymore. Has that ever happened?
No, I'm very stubborn. I don't give up.
That's amazing. But like after every your every trip or climb, do you think you become changed? Like you there's something that changes inside you, or it still remains the same and it's constant?
I think in a way I'm becoming a different person. It's just that I learn these great lessons, and that I think I'm becoming more and more mature after each expedition, and especially facing danger and hardship and this very essence of life that really kind of, makes you grow as a person.
Yeah. And any climber who inspires you?
There are a couple of climbers that inspire me. I think that a couple of the early projects of Reinhold Messner really inspire me, because Reinhold Messner really did things that were considered as impossible. People said, you can't climb Everest without oxygen. It's proven by doctors that you can't do it. So I really like his mentality of doing things that are named as impossible, to make the impossible possible, to kill the impossible. So that part is something that I really enjoy as well. And that's something I'm trying, for example, with my Everest Winter project. And then there are other people like Uli Steg, for example, who brought lightweight gear and speed towards high mountains, and the elements of being solo. But then, there are a lot of people that inspire me, definitely, that I look up to in a way. But at the same time, I know all of those people are not perfect. So they are not idols for me.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm just liking to pick a few perfect parts out of there that really inspire me, but it's never the whole person. It's more a very particular aspect of the person.
Yeah, that's that's same with me. I'm very skeptical. So like I pick up the parts which inspire me from people, and then I carry them.
Exactly. And then I build this imaginable whatever idol in my head, and I'm like saying, I just want to be like that. But the thing is, if you ask me, who I want to be, I will always tell you, I want to be Jost Kobusch. I don't want to become the next Uli Steck, for example. I want to become the next Jost Kobusch, like I am. I am myself, and that's okay. I don't want to be like somebody else.
Yeah. And do you see yourself opening an academy for people like in the near future?
I do start an academy next year.
Okay.
So we will do high altitude mountaineering. We'll have lectures in there. It's really a help to help yourself. So the philosophy is to take time and go to high altitude under like light winter conditions and have to look for true wilderness again, apart from the tourism, and really pass knowledge so that after the academy, you should be ready to do your own expedition in the Himalayas.
Oh, that's nice actually. And has the COVID affected the climbing industry? Like, how much has it affected, if it has?
Look, I'm not so much good with numbers. What I can tell you is that my personal expeditions are all canceled for this year. So this year I'm just training home,
Okay.
which is also good. Like for me, in a way, it's been a really good time. Not so many appointments, not so much traveling. So I could train a lot and, for example, work on my new website, which was definitely necessary, and I wouldn't have had time for it otherwise. Industry-wise, I think it can be very different. I think that some parts of the industry, for example, industries that are selling bicycles or hiking boots, that
Yeah.
they really got a boost because people couldn't go somewhere else. People started to do all this stuff in front of their door, to go hiking, to go cycling. And then there are other parts of the industry that had a harder time because people stopped doing certain things that they usually would do. And I think that COVID really changed a lot of the things that we do. The question is, will it be a long-term change? Will we be a different generation based on this experience because we started to appreciate different things?
Yeah.
Or
Good.
will it just pass? And that's something I can't answer to you.
Yeah, that's true. Because some people like we will be grateful for a few moments after this is over, and then again we'll be back to normal. Because there is a possibility of that.
Yeah, could be.
And what has been the philosophy in your life?
Whew. I think my philosophy in general was always to live life as intense as possible, like to make the most of everything. Um, so in a way, I think I'm thinking really strategic. So I'm always thinking, um, yeah, is this something that I really want to do, or not? And if there is something that I don't enjoy doing, then I'll find a way not to do it or have somebody else do it for me. I
Yeah.
think that life is too short to waste it. And even though I would be offered a really good job or a really good partnership that I do not enjoy, I always turn it down because, um, how do I say, I only work if I do something that I do not enjoy, as I'm enjoying everything that I'm doing here, like this podcast, for example. This is no work for me. It's fun. So basically, I'm retired and I'm only doing the stuff I like to do. And
Yeah.
that's my philosophy. And I think that's also a recipe for a successful life.
Yeah. And do you think the high you get after climbing the mountain, the adrenaline rush, if it ever stops, you would feel lifeless.
Look, after mountaineering, there is no adrenaline rush. In mountaineering and expeditions, it's really much gentler. Let's say you
Okay.
do a jump with skis and you jump down a 10 meters cliff, and you get an adrenaline rush. You're like, fuck yeah, there was an awesome jump, or I was flying. But on an expedition, that expedition will have 3 phases. First, you have the planning phase. You're really excited. You're working towards a goal. You're planning this, you're getting the funding, you're training, you're really envisioning how it would be like. Then, second, the goal. You are there, you're working on it, and you will achieve something. And it's great. It's a great feeling. You're like, yeah, I achieved a certain thing. Maybe I reached a summit or I reached a specific goal. And yeah, that's a different feeling. That's a feeling of achievement. And then you have the third phase when you're looking back and you are like reliving that achievement and you're really taking energy out of that achievement. And those those levels are not aggressive. They just go into each other like a smooth curve, and you take a lot of energy out of that. And after you reach the third level, you will plan a new project and you start again with the first level. It's not an adrenaline rush. If you do expedition mountaineering, it's a lifestyle.
That's true. And any advice for people who have just started out or people who got discouraged after their first climb?
I would always say stick to people that are slightly better than you. Go in groups, go often. Partners are a great way to be supported, to learn. And then if you do have a local alpine club or a mountaineering club, those clubs are an awesome way to build skill. So go there and you will receive support. And if you do it and for some reason you realize, oh, it's not fun, but maybe it will be better in the future, maybe you should consider that it might not be the right thing for you. Only do what's fun, and don't do it simply to achieve the goal. Mountaineering and climbing is about the process. If you do not enjoy the process, then either, try to enjoy that process, or maybe look for something else to do.
Yeah. And like this last question I have for you, which I ask everyone who comes on my podcast. Okay. So my podcast is called Sab Moh Maya Hai, which roughly translates to everything is an illusion. So have you ever come across a moment in your life where you believed in something and then the more you looked into it, you realized, oh my God, it's an illusion? Any such experience in life?
I think that maybe in a way, lots of my early mountaineering I did for how would I say? I did it for fame and love and like recognition of others and like outside for like external things. And so when I wrote my book, I really had to see my life again through that book. And I realized that. And I realized that I've done many things maybe for the wrong reasons. And that all this motivation and excitement, if you want to say so, was an illusion because I just wanted to receive attention by doing it. So that really changed my perspective. And of course, it was a bit depressive afterwards because I felt like all the things that I've done, they are like useless. And so then I turned back to the roots, to my curiosity, and I really found that internal reason again. And that's also a big energy source. That's why I'm able to do so difficult projects today. And I'm really grateful for the experience of like having that mirror in front of me and seeing really what has been driving me, and to then realize also that that's not why I want to do it.
Yeah, that's really nice. But thank you so much, Josh, for doing this and like taking time out of your schedule and like coming to my podcast.
Yeah, it was fun to be here. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did because I got to learn a lot of things because I have no clue about climbing and have always been afraid. But Next year, I'm gonna at least take baby steps to climb.
Baby steps, that's the solution, yeah. And you will get anywhere with baby steps.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bye.